Chapter 16, A Lost Cause. After restoring order to Vaxi Island, Yugi and the Resistance set out to tackle the Empire again. Imperial forces across the Empire are spread thin in order to quell many revolts. Yugi sees an opportunity. Yugi decides to set up a base camp for his attack on the capital by taking over the supply base at Anchor Hill. Anchor Hill is defended by a unit of magicians led by the powerful Arcana. Arcana's magicians give Yugi and the Resistance one of their toughest fights yet. Just as Yugi is about to throw everything he has at the enemy to break the stalemate, he gets some unexpected news. Arcana's unit is here, and the Dark Magician has been spotted in the enemy unit. Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit and in the green. Welcome back to YuGiOh the Falsebound Kingdom, and we are ready to take on Arcana in a battle of the magicians. It's going to be an interesting one. We've brought Bakura back to his senses, and we've got some decent levels into some of our teams. We can also meet Esperoba's monsters. So, Esperoba comes with a fairly decent team. He gets pretty good life points, and he's a ridiculously high-level martial too. So we have Cybersaurus, which isn't super strong, Jinzo, and Giant Mech Soldier, so Esperoba's team is okay. It can use a few buffs along the way. Unfortunately, it's really horrible for AP at the moment. Now, it's worth noting that Jinzo doesn't seem to be super powerful, and when you get Shock Shell, Jinzo's special ability to confuse all enemies is made completely useless. We'll be meeting Jinzo later on though, along with the other two in our introduction. So, I usually try not to bring Mai too much. Ah, good. Iroh has Triangle Ecstasy Spark. We've got plenty of action points. Mai is basically default victory. I need to give Bakura a pretty good team. What else can we give Bakura? Just so he's got some pretty powerful monsters. He's a good Dragon Slayer. The first time around is usually a bit difficult. Because... no, that should be alright. Bakura's team should hold up okay. He just needs some more levels. Fistus will hold up okay. Might try and get some more levels into some of these. Mako's been putting in work. He deserves a break. So we will of course be ready to have our battle of magicians. Yugi's team is doing particularly well. Still no new abilities. But we'll get there eventually. Dark Magician will wind up picking up some good abilities. I probably should sort out some healing. And at least kid out Esperoba's team. I can probably... Roba's team mostly goes for healing at the moment. So we can give him Deal of Phantom and probably need a bit more red medicine too. But it's a good thing I picked up those Deal of Phantom, because now we can actually allow his team to have a few more attacks. So that... let's see... Shimon's been putting in work for a while. I'll bring Esperoba along. Actually, and I need to bring Bakura. Can't forget Bakura. Let's give another black pendant to Hornimp. And now we're pretty much ready to take on Arcana. There's going to be a battle of magicians coming up. Let's get ready. It looks like you're not the only one that the Dark Magician will call Master, Yugi. Why don't we determine who his true master should be right now? This one can be a pretty difficult one, especially if you do actually follow Arcane's suggestion. Because as I mentioned, his Dark Magician is incredibly strong. Let's actually get our barricades in this time. And I'll probably have Fizdus sit out and wait, and then Esperoba. So if we take a look at Arcane's team, his Dark Magician has Knight Adept, level 5 Magic, and Magic Craft, the abilities we will get. Invitation to a Dark Sleep sucks. But he also has 3 Raigeki, and he won't hesitate to use them. Those do heavy damage to all your monsters. It's a pain in the butt. And we, right now, do not have the healing items needed to actually handle all that. What is the strength of his monster? We don't have any... We don't have much in the way of monsters. Like, 2 rounds would probably take it out. But that's the problem. Do we have 2 rounds? None of my team can use magic. So if you take him on with Yugi, it's absolute sucker bait. Oh, actually, let's get Bakura in. Oh, good. Bakura actually is in and ready to go. Let's get Tristan out of the way just to be on the safe side. This is going to be a legitimately tough battle. Might depend on artificial stupidity in all fairness, and whether I get to go first against our opponent. If I actually had any copies of Dian Keto the Cure Master, I might be able to get something sorted out. Just the standard starting items. And the guns fire will get plenty of experience into Bakura's team. But yeah, if you bring Darklands monsters, it's not... It's probably not that easy to actually take this battle on first time around. When you've got way more health, and you've actually got magic on your side, it's a lot easier. Okay, so the beaver is going first. Right, so we don't want either of the Gemini elves hitting us. So in that case, we just take them out with Beaver Warrior. There we are, fairly quick, fairly good experience. Now, it is the problem. I may need to sort of bait Arcana into doing something stupid. Who do I send as a sacrifice, though? Because if you can get past his Dark Magician, I probably should hold on to this team. Let Bakura take another one, and then we'll move Joey in. Because in all fairness, you get past that Dark Magician, and he doesn't really have much else. After this one, because we're facing teams of spellcasters, Fizdus can go in next because the other opponents aren't very strong. Alrighty, so we don't have a lot... Well, we don't have any monsters to get apart from the second Dark Magician, who can, at level 99, use Dark Burning Magic. Let's see, biggest threat, obviously, is Dark Elf. It's kind of the problem, though. Actually getting it, if you decide to take on our enemy with Yugi, is the big issue. I probably should be getting some more... Thank you. Should be getting some more levels into Yugi, in all fairness. I might really need that. Because I can't exactly outfit him in the middle of the battle. And I don't know what level they wind up learning all these abilities. Might have to really turn this into Yugi's fight. Now, Eventually, Illusionist Faceless Mage can paralyze enemies. Problem is, it gets a special attack that also lets it paralyze an enemy, which makes you wonder what on earth they were thinking. There are many questionable choices in this game, in all fairness. But no matter. But I suppose that's just sort of the thing in a sense. There are many questionable choices throughout the game because it's sort of a case of why do you use certain monsters if you know other ones are going to be a lot stronger? See, I knew I'd take out Tau the Chanter in one shot. Just Horn Imp was terrible in terms of accuracy because, like, say if you're using a normal monster deck, there's absolutely no point using any normal monster that doesn't have the best stats for its level. Like, you had back in the old days, Hitotsume Giant, back in Volume 1, was actually the strongest monster, equal with Silverfang. You'd put 3 of those in your deck. And whatever else there was that was fairly strong, you'd use. It's... like, I mean, it worked a lot better when it was just normal monsters. Really need to get some power into Yugi on this one. Like, Bakura's at least got some halfway decent experience, but Yugi needs a lot more. I probably should have thought this one through. So we're basically going to be focusing on Yugi for a while. We'll see how these battles go. We have some duplicates, so I can probably fit in some profiles along the way. Find out about some more interesting monsters here and there. Now, it is worth noting that Arcana's Dark Magician is actually distinct from the Dark Magician we all know and love. Jeez, these guys are barely a challenge. Oh, that's right. You can... up and down on the C-stick raises those. Up and down on the control stick zooms in and out. Like, it's almost like these enemies are just deliberately designed to be a joke. And then there's level 99 Dark Magician packing 3 Raigeki like it's the old days of the game. Like, this is going to be really dangerous. My monsters will at best survive 1 Raigeki. It all depends on the speed of the units. Because if I get to attack first, I might be able to take Arcana out. It all depends on what he wants to do. There's a lot of risk in this one. Some of them can be surprisingly dangerous. That was about the least intimidating critical I've... That didn't even do 200 damage! It's about the... That was horrible. Like I said, most of these battles are really crap and that Dark Magician is dangerous. Which I suppose is very fitting given the episode. Arcana basically cheated. Marek really couldn't win duels without cheating. Arcana cheated so he'd get his Dark Magician in his starting hand. Yugi basically screwed him over by playing card destruction. They had to fight on an even keel. Arcana also tended to sort of trim his cards so that he could see what was going on. Like, he knew which ones he was going to draw and so on. It was fairly dodgy, all things considered. He knew a lot of sleight of hand tricks, he knew how to cheat, and on top of that, he sacrificed his monsters using ectoplasma to try and kill Yugi. However, apparently his monsters didn't seem to like that, at least so it's implied. Because during the battle, when Dark Magician Girl appears, she gets a power-up for each Dark Magician and Magician of Black Chaos in the graveyard. And when she's going to finish off Arcana, it's shown very clearly that Arcana's Dark Magician is standing alongside her. Which is at the very least implying that Arcana's Dark Magician got really ticked off with just being used as a tool by him, having no respect from him, and pretty much sided with Yugi out of sheer spite to kick his ass. I would not be surprised. Once Dark Magician Girl gets level 4 magic and you can get your hands on Raimei, things get a bit easier. Because you can hit very hard as a result of that. Raimei won't do a lot of damage, but it will do chip damage to all enemies and it will paralyze all enemies too. It's fairly handy. Raimei is a spell card that does about 300 damage to the opponent's life points. Sparks does 200. Then there's Raimei. Hinotama does 500. Okazai does 800. And Tremendous Fire does 1,000 to your opponent and 500 to you. While Meteor of Destruction can only be played if your opponent's life points are 3,000 or higher, I believe, and does 1,000 damage. And there's something else. It had some ridiculous jank effect in the anime when Joey used it against Yugi. Wow. We are whiffing quite a few attacks. That's not good. What on earth? Surely, we've missed 3 attacks on Sagi alone. But... okay, I don't think that guarded. I know Phantom Diwan guarded, but I don't think Sagi guarded. What is this match? This has suddenly turned into the Imperial Stormtrooper Marksmanship Academy class demonstration. Oh, finally. Now, Phantom D1 will eventually get the ability to paralyze opponents. Thankfully, not now, because all these enemies are really crap. How many turns have I gone through? Dark Magician's done barely any damage. Oh, I thought that was going to miss for a minute. And it just gets another turn because they really are just trying to be spiteful here. And that should end it. Boy, oh boy, what a terrible battle that was. There we go. Better face one more with these guys and then I can put Esperoba in. Okay, Dark Magician is level 25. Now that's the worrisome thing. Are my monsters the same speed as Arcanus? Roba, you're up next. Should finish this one off pretty quickly. Magic Craft also, yeah, as I said, Magic Craft does increase the power of magic used. So it can make things very dangerous. I really don't know how it's going to go and I'm almost too nervous to try. As far as I know, unlike regular attacks, magic can't miss. Okay. It's still awkward trying to discern where Zombie Warrior actually is in the, against the cobblestone background. It just sort of blends in. You can sort of see the blue, but it's just so scrawny being all bones. There we are. Now, I think Battle Warrior does have slightly more defense. If I remember correctly, Zombie Warrior is Skull Servant and Battle Warrior. So, Battle Warrior has marginally more defense, but this is a lot better on the attack. Admittedly, there have been plenty of Skull Servant support cards, which makes things very interesting. Skull Servant has sort of developed a reputation as a lethal joke character along the way, pretty much. You can do a fair bit of damage to people with Skull Servants if you build the deck right, and there's a lot of good zombie support. But it's still a bit of a risk. let's finish this off. Esperoba's turn next. And there we go. Better build a healer too. Well, a couple of levels into my team. But will it be enough? It's a bit spooky, this one. Tristan needs to head to Twin Rivers. Roba's ready to go. Alright, so his machine team's not that great first off in terms of action points, which is a bit of a nuisance. And, like, seriously, Jinzo kind of sucks. Okay, so the team is out, all outfitted pretty well. Concentrate all fire on Illusory Gentleman. Oh yeah, we do have to put the profiles in for these, so I'll eventually get to that. I probably could have done that through some of these fights rather than rambling on, but we'll eventually get to that. This isn't going to be the most enjoyable fight. The machines are a bit slow. But we'll steadily cut them down to size. You know, the design for Giant Mech Soldier actually makes me think a bit of enemies from, of armored enemies from Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. It's just... that missed, didn't it? No, wait, it didn't. That's good, that's good. Let's cut it down. Oh, with a critical. Nice work. So yeah, it's just the way the armor is designed that makes me think of them. Usually, admittedly, armored enemies do not get a very good rap. Well, at least armored characters don't always, because the horrible movement tends to be a bit difficult. On top of that, they'll get mauled by mages, axe wielders will still tear them apart. They're just a bit problematic, all things considered. Like, they're not horrible, but they could be a bit better. Which is kind of unfortunate. Which is probably why they usually wind up being utterly broken in Fire Emblem Heroes, and there's usually a case of, well, this person is an armored unit because we say so, despite the fact that they're clearly not wearing armor. Like, take Winter Tharja, for example. How is she an armored unit? She's effectively wearing a swimsuit. Winter Manuela is effectively wearing a bunny suit. How are they meant to be armored units? It's very perplexing. Well, we've taken these enemies down at least. Roba's team has done pretty well. So, a bit more experience here, and now we need to prepare for battle. This is going to be tough. I'll put the profiles in for these particular monsters. Cybersaurus made its international debut in Metal Raiders, with its only other appearance being in OTS Tournament Pack 16. In Japan, it debuted in Volume 7 and reappeared in Japan's version of Metal Raiders. On release in June 2002, Cybersaurus was impossible to summon because some idiot decided it would be a really good idea to not release Two-Headed King Rex until October of the same year. Even then, Two-Headed King Rex was in the second tournament pack, which means very difficult to get under normal circumstances, until later re-releases helped out, and fusion substitute monsters were released in the first one a month earlier. So there's a bit of a hash in actually using this. The only other notable aspect of Cybersaurus is that for a long time its arm cannon wasn't censored in art, though I think it is in this game. Giant Mech Soldier made its international debut and only appearance in Speed Duel Trials of the Kingdom, 20 years after its first appearance. In Japan it debuted in Booster 2, then immediately reappeared in Volume 3, and when I say immediately, Volume 3 came out 2 days after Booster 2. That was it for its appearances. While this monster will actually most likely turn out better than Jinzo in this game, In the card game, it's really not much chop. It's another crummy normal monster which has less than impressive stats and has long since been left behind by the game. That's what happens when you take 20 years to be released. It exists as a curiosity and that's it. Also, its weapon is very clearly a boomerang style throwing blade and not an axe, despite what its flavor text says. Jinzo made its international debut in Pharaoh's Servant as a secret rare, but has reappeared many times over the years. In Japan, it debuted in Curse of Anubis, which was amalgamated into our set, Pharaoh's Servant. Jinzo was a metagame-defining card at the time of its release, with its power to shut down traps proving devastating to many decks. While the game's power creep has long since moved on, Jinzo is still a decent threat which can put a spanner in the works, thanks to a few support cards and a reasonable archetype. At least some of the more recent cards are better, the early ones were pretty crap. The overall Jinzo archetype, as I said, not fantastic, but the worst part is Jinzo doesn't actually come off very well in this game for some reason. It doesn't seem to be super strong, which is very, very odd, and while its special attack can confuse all opponents, once you finally get hold of Shock Shell, that does its job so much better. It's almost a little redundant, which is sad. Alright, Taya, the plan is you draw fire, then Yugi comes in and finishes the job. It's a bit of a sacrifice play. I am the true master of Dark Magician. Come fight me, Yugi, and see for yourself! It will be my pleasure to show you his limitless potential! Yeah, I'm not stupid. Right now, I'm in a lot of trouble. Basically, Taya's just sort of there so I can gauge his power. Alright, now let's try Screen Mist and see what happens. I've got to make a lot of guesses. If Taya beats him, this is going to be hilarious. Alright, so we are looking at over 1,000 damage a shot. That's dire. I hope I actually put some items on Dancing Elf, otherwise I'm in a bit of strife. Crap. Shouldn't have put that there. But of course it depends on what he decides to do. And needless to say, our enemies are no longer blinded. I don't think this attack can paralyze later on. Not sure though. Alright. So yeah, this is why his team's dangerous. He can and will use Raigeki. Alright, pull out. Time to pull out. Alright, so that missed. Alright, well. Taya's dead. This is a difficult fight if you're not going to bring the right monsters. Like, the fact that I'm not using Mai to utterly wipe him out is kind of stupid on my part, or at least not bringing Shimon. Though I'm disappointed it recovered from its status immediately. So, Taya's out of the picture for us. A whole lot of enemies are heading towards Tristan. Now, Arcana's only got one use of Raigeki left. Let's try and finish him off now. I might be able to survive the onslaught depending on how his units move. So, needless to say, he gets the first turn. better heal Dark Magician Girl, because she'll probably get the most fire concentrated on her if I don't heal. Right, my Magicians are healthy and Arcana is out of Raigeki. That's what makes this hard first time around. If you do Yugi's story first off, this is a pain in the backside. If you've got much stronger monsters on your side, like if you've done Kaiba's story first, you will generally have a better team or be able to level yours up a bit faster. Because without his Raigeki, Arcana really isn't that much. His other two monsters aren't that strong, and his Dark Magician is good. I mean, he uses a sensible strategy. But we have slightly better tactics. Arcana's just going with brute force, but on the other hand, that brute force is really useful, and it showed in the card game through the fact he used so many cards to get his Dark Magician in his hand, so many power-ups for his Dark Magician. I think almost exclusive cards in a sense. Whoops. A lot of those support cards did wind up being released in the end, though. Nice, that missed. Once we get rid of this one, the other two should fall pretty quickly. So yeah, when we come back here with better items and even stronger monsters, we are going to have an easy time of it. It's going to be really, really simple. Ideally, anyway. Because we'll be on a much more even footing. If you actually get Dian Keto the Cure Master, or you can use Gift of the Mystical Elf, this fight is so easy. Because you'll just top your health up, just have one of your magic users, top your health up, shrug off Raigeki, and away you go. I mean, look at that. We're tearing through Invitation to a Dark Sleep pretty easily. They're not that strong, all things considered. We will have tougher battles ahead. We do have quite a few monsters to unlock in the next one. But this one's not too bad. It can just be a bit tedious sitting through the attack animations. Especially when they get about 4 or 5 turns to gang up on one of my units. Alright. There we go. Much easier. But no, gotta have the last word. One last spiteful comment from just before the grave. And there we are. Now, if I get both the Dark Magicians on Yugi's team, we will get a fair bit of power, and I think both can use Dark Burning Magic. Might be worth a shot, but we'll see. That's a very appropriate number for this to end up on, given how annoying this fight is. Like, Invitation to a Dark Sleep does just enough to be a nuisance. Just enough to pick off an opponent that's been severely damaged by Raigeki. Like, it's not a threat on its own. It's the magic that makes it. But there we are. Sorry about that one, Taya. We do get it back, though. And we get a decent amount of experience on top of that. Illusory Gentleman is level 40. That's not bad. So there we are. And Tristan didn't get any extra fights. Yeah! This can't be happening! Not to me! My body! It's fading! I'm fading away! How could Scott do that to one of his own characters? He's merciless! Dark Magician number 2 has joined our army, and Arcana has had his legs cut into by dark energy discs that will send him to the Shadow Realm. Totally not buzzsaws. But there we go, probably one of the most irritating missions is done. And we'll come back better than ever in the next time. Thank you very much for joining me. Till next time, this is Red 2, returning to base.